Continuing with our theme of warning the public about their program of technology-based control on us all, and the fact that the shutdown of businesses, the lockdown of the people, the overkill about the virus is all a ruse to implement new draconian technology, likely being administered by a vaccine. And so this section is technology warning. And it was announced this week that Amazon wants to launch 3,236 internet beaming satellites in an effort called Project Kuiper, which would directly compete with SpaceX's growing fleet of Starlink spacecraft. And despite heated competition, Amazon managed to trounce the opposition of its competitors and win the US Federal Communications Commission's approval to deploy Kuiper in space. Now, SpaceX's Starlink project appears to be years ahead of Amazon's Kuiper, having already launched hundreds of satellites and started a beta test program for consumers. However, Amazon has committed to invest more than $10 billion to realize Kuiper and blanket Earth with affordable web access. Amazon is part of the Super Billionaires Club, which was mentioned as the takeover of the Planet Group in the Clowns in Planet show, is the real reason why they were awarded that contract. Amazon was only founded back in 1995, 25 years old, and yet has amassed over 300 billion. And they claimed a major victory by getting regulatory approval to create Kuiper, a planned fleet or constellation of these internet beaming satellites. And if realized, Kuiper would compete with Starlink, a similar yet potentially much larger fleet of 12,000 to 42,000 satellites, which is many times the number of spacecraft humanity has ever launched, being formed by SpaceX, the aerospace company founded by Elon Musk. Now, on Wednesday, the FCC's 5 commissioners unanimously voted to permit Amazon to launch its Kuiper fleet into space and communicate with Earth-based antennas. Take note of that. Given the project the paperwork it needs to get off the ground. And they said, we conclude that the grant of Kuiper's application would advance the public interest by authorising a system designed to increase the availability of high-speed broadband service to consumers, government and business, according to the FCC on July the 30th. Now, a subsequent announcement by Amazon on Thursday, the company pledged to invest more than $10 billion in its effort to provide reliable, affordable broadband service to unserved and underserved communities around the world. I wonder how many of you are connecting dots now. And a project of this scale requires significant effort and resources, and due to the nature of low Earth orbit constellations, it's not the kind of initiative that can start small. You have to commit, Amazon said. And that amount, 10 billion, incidentally, was precisely what SpaceX COO Gwynne Shotwell estimated in May 2018 as the cash it may take to complete Starlink. So what is the purpose of it all? Well, it's certainly not to benefit the people. It's only more greed-based harvesting and technology overkill. 45,000 satellites by 2 private companies, both of which are connected to the CIA. Is that something we want in our skies? But given it says that this fleet was to communicate with Earth-based antennas, could the 5G towers be connected to this? And is this also connected to the rollout of the free phones mentioned by Robert David Steele and their open source Let's Spy on Everyone program? Next warning of technology. The European Commission will carry out a full-scale probe into GoOgle's takeover of Fitbit. Did warn about them. And the announcement follows a preliminary review and threatens to derail the purchase of the fitness tracking firm. It comes despite GoOgle's offer last month to not use Fitbit's health data for ad targeting. Yes, because it goes way beyond ad targeting is why. It is a health police targeting. That's what they're planning. Throw them away if you have one, or sell it to a bot. Now, GoOgle's parent company, Alphabet, agreed a $2.1 billion takeover of the wearable tech firm last year. However, the deal has yet to be completed. Alphabet and GoOgle are CIA front companies, just like Home Depot, Radio Shack, and some top chain salons. Oops. Now, the Commission is concerned that the proposed transaction would further entrench GoOgle's market position in the online advertising markets by increasing the already vast amount of data that GoOgle could use for personalization of the ads it serves and displays. Collection of data. Clowns in panic. Now, the watchdog said its investigation should be completed by the 9th of December. And yes, it is a case of a private fund, these allegedly unknown startup groups, but it all funnels back into military and agency-based groups. Next technology. We may be banning Tick-Tock, President Trump told reporters late on Friday. Then on Sunday, the US Secretary of Deep State, Mike Pompeo, told Fox News that action will be taken in the coming days to address, quote, national security. National security. You're having a laugh, Mr. Pompeo. National security risks that are presented by software connected to the Chinese Communist Party. Really? I'd be more worried about national security risks connected to software by GoOgle, Langley, and the NSA. But there you go. Including the short-form video app. And one obvious starting place would be to order Apple and GoOgle to remove the app from their online stores. One other way to address it, it was said by Mr. Secretary of Deep State, would be to tell Apple and GoOgle to use a, quote, kill switch, unquote, facility they both have, which lets them remotely wipe or prevent blacklisted apps from launching. Oh my. Or an easier alternative might be to compel local internet service providers to block access to TikTok's servers. Now, Microsoft has confirmed it's in talks to acquire the business in the US, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. And some internet wags have already suggested it might be called Microsoft Teams, which is a play on the firm's Teams service. But just like the Huawei story, this has all the hallmarks of faction fighting. And it's got little to do with China, the country, the government, or the people. Now, Trump, for his part, said, I will close it down on September the 15th unless Microsoft or somebody else is able to buy it and work out a deal. An appropriate deal so that the Treasury of the United States gets a lot of money, he said. Really? 1. Is that how business should be operated? And 2. Does this smack of harvesting?